video, even though I finished it. But anyway, my name is Juliet, and this is UX Untamed. And today's topic is really close to my heart and is really close to my life as I'm myself an immigrant. I'm originally from Colombia and I moved to Canada. I think this year is going to be 15, 16 years. It's quite a bit. So for me to be able to share other people's stories and their journey of coming to Canada and see how they have done it is really powerful for others that are coming after us. So before I keep talking about no sense, let's invite our guests to come in. So hi Deborah, hi Paula. Really nice to have you both here.
Likewise. Thanks for having me back, Juliet.
Yes, yeah. If you haven't known, you haven't seen Paula before, we were just talking about this. We met a year ago. We ended up talking about UX research in Brazil, but now we're
Yeah.
talking about in Canada. So I love this. I love this translation. How are you,
Yeah.
Deborah?
Hello, Juliet. It's good to be here for the first time.
Yes, exactly. I like that for the first time because you never know what happened with me. But for people to know more about who you are, Deborah, why don't you tell us more about yourself?
Sure. So, my name is Deborah. I'm from Brazil. My pronouns are she and her. Um, Currently, I'm living in Calgary, Alberta, and I am a local economy development facilitator, which is a fancy name for someone that helps people to start business.
Well, I will say that's a fancy job. Yes, so you need the fancy title. What about you, Paula?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. So my name is Paula. My pronouns are she or her. I'm also from Brazil, and I also live in Calgary, Alberta. Deborah and I, we are partners. And currently, I'm a user experience architect with the city of Calgary.
I'm so excited about knowing about the title. That one is a fancy title too. But before we get there, uh, again, I don't know. I always say the same, but I love it. It's one of my favorite questions of the whole thing because every single time, every guest speaker surprised me. So, Paula, tell me a fun or unique fact about you.
I'm gonna go with the fun fact. Even though I look like somebody that really likes rock music and like those kind of things, I'm actually a super Taylor Swift fan. And people get really impressed when I tell them that. But yeah, I'm a Swiftie, everybody.
Wow, I love it. Okay, someone, Gonzalo is telling me, sorry to put you in a second, but while I do this, you will answer Deborah because it looks like the ADP list link is broken. So I'm going to update them there. But meanwhile, Deborah, I need a good story because I need a couple of seconds for here. So tell me a unique fact about.
Well, I have a good one. My biggest fear about moving to Canada or living in Canada is coming face to face with a bear. Yeah, because we don't have bears in Brazil, and I mean we have fierce animals there too, but a bear, that's something new to me.
Well, the question is then, have you been able to, or have you seen a bear?
Not in person. Yes.
Okay. What I've been telling you, okay, and sorry, I'm doing multiple things here at the same time. But even though I've been living in Canada for 15 years, oh yeah, it's super broken. Oh my goodness. Let's see. I don't know how to tell people. Gonzalo, how do I tell people where is the link? I have quite a bit of people in the other side. I feel like this was my fault. I forgot to update the link. Gonzalo, what about if I give it to you? Gonzalo, are you listening to me? Gonzalo, I'm like, maybe I'm talking with like no one in the other side. But Gonzalo, if you can share this link, I don't know where to share it with people in the other side. Um, I've been living in Canada for 15 years and I have never seen like a surprise bear. Like if you come to Canada, like to Vancouver, and you go to how to forget the mountain name. I will remember at one point. You can go and see bears, but they are like you cannot go that close. So you can come to Vancouver and see there securely. Uh, but I'm glad that you haven't seen any by surprise. Okay, let's just start with our topic of today. So why did you choose Canada to build your career and your new life? And I feel like this is like a kind of package question because it's the two of you. But Paula, why did you end up choosing Canada?
Well, we wanted to. I've always wanted to live outside Brazil again. I've done it a couple times, and this time was supposed to be something more and essentially there were a couple. My dad, he used to always send me links on Canada, like, oh, Canada is recruiting Brazil. Oh, look at this Canada company that has open jobs. But Deborah didn't want to come to Canada because she thought it was too cold. But eventually, the political climate in Brazil got really bad, and her friends were moving to Canada. So we kind of start to I guess start to look Canada with different eyes. Of course, we always knew it was a good country. Doesn't get into wars with people. It's super safe. People are nice. We kind of knew that, but then the desire to move here intensified, I guess, when we saw ourselves in a country that we didn't want to be in because of the political situation, plus the fact that her friends were here in Canada as well.
Well, I will say, Deborah, you were right. It's cold. It's cold here. That's not going to change. And I feel like when maybe then I will ask this question to Deborah now that you gave us a little more of the inside. But why did you end up choosing Calgary specifically?
That's a that's a good question. It's a question that I heard a lot, right, Paula? Uh, and the answer is Calgary chose us. We applied for FSW program, the immigration program, and we received the provincial nomination to apply from Alberta, and we decided to take it. We did our research. Alberta was a nice place for us to be, and in Calgary, we have this emerging tech movement here happening, and that's what happened. We chose Canada. Alberta chose us, and here we are in Calgary.
Nice. Well, it's a funny fact about me and Calgary. I do have like I don't know how many friends that I have met, like I met when I was a teenager. So I have known these people for almost like 30 years. And one of the biggest group of people there, I feel like I know 15, 20 people in Calgary. And I think one couple immigrate and then it's like they're like, come here. And then that's how the group ended up being so big in Calgary. It's such a big Latinx community in Calgary for sure. It's something that you don't see that much in Vancouver, as you will see a lot of people from Mexico, but not like a whole little mix. What do you feel about the cold now that you have lived on it?
um, it was fun to go outside in like a -40 feeling and look for furniture because we moved here during winter. But yeah, I'm starting to get used to the cold here. We have a friend visiting us from Brazil, and it's summer here, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's so cold!" And I'm like, "Oh, do you think this is cold? Like 13 degrees positive? This is nothing for us now. We can
Well,
totally deal this."
I don't know. Again, I've been living here like for a while, and you don't get used to at all. And Vancouver again is one of the warmer cities in Canada, and you should see me. I think I bring my winter jacket out like around end of September. Like the end of September, I'm already like poof, like with everything on. So I have two outfits here in Vancouver, like either my poof jacket from September to almost April, if not May sometimes. And then it's like no more jackets. So it's funny. Um, I think something that is super interesting is how long the process takes. And I think for people who is watching us and for people who is interested and is doing different processes, it's important to say that each like their process and journey is unique to them. So whatever they're sharing is relevant to them and is mostly for all of you to go and look for people who is specialized in this or go. I mean, I used to work in the immigration Canada, so go on immigration and Google everything that you need to Google. But Paula, how long did the process take?
Yeah, ours was a bit complicated because we had the pandemic right in the middle of it. So it took us a little over 2 years for the process to be done and for us to receive our COPR, which is the confirmation of permanent residency. Before, if pandemic hadn't hit, it would take maybe like 8 months. That was the normal processing time before pandemic. Now it's a very much, it really depends on your papers. It depends on if you submit everything that you need to submit or not, where you're from, I guess. Now it's like a bit of a chaos. And I know that processing times are like so much higher nowadays than they were before the pandemic. But ours took like, it seemed like it was forever, right? I mean, more than 2 years waiting for Canada to give us to really let us know what was going on. It was just like painful month after month, like just waiting on that golden email to arrive and nothing. But yeah.
And again, I mean, I worked for IRCC for a while and more in the tech side, so it's not that. Again, I couldn't control anything my own work, so it's nothing that I can control about policies and timelines. But I know that definitely pandemic brought a lot of issues in like making everything super slow. And RCC, I won't say the government, any government is well known for not giving letting people know what is happening and what is going on. Everything takes quite a bit of time. So I really understand how much and how painful is this. Talking about hard things, what were the hardest part of moving to Canada and how did you handle them? So let's try to have unique something for each of you. So Deborah, what about you?
Okay. I think that leaving family and friends behind is very difficult. And I think if you ask this question to 10 immigrants, 11 of them will give you this answer, right? We have our connections in Brazil and we miss these people a lot. Yeah, I would say that this is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And again, I've been living here for 15 years and I will say that never goes away. I went back in March to Colombia and I kind of go pretty much every year. But that feeling when you enter your mom's home and it feels like, oh, I can rest. There's nothing to worry. There's like I can just sit down and I usually the whole family gets together and we just drink coffee and bread. That's usually what we do. And we'll play and we'll talk. It's like, this is just so nice. Nothing to worry about. Just feel like home. I think that feeling never pass and it's always there. What about you, Paula?
Yeah. But on top of that, I guess it go in stages, right? Like the difficulties. The first one was to like get everything that we needed. So like the documents, the Alberta health card, a phone line. Then it was to find a place to live because the market, as you know, has been like crazy when it comes to renting a place. So that was very difficult for us. We got really lucky. However, it was like a very stressful the period that we were actually looking for a place. And after that, it was more like, okay, now we got a place, we got our documents, we got everything that we need. Next steps to find a job here. And then that was like the, I guess, the period that it was tougher for us, and that lasted for a longer period of time.
Um, yes, homes, finding an apartment, finding where to live. I think this is a struggle like everywhere, and I don't know again how people do it nowadays. I think when I came again, it was so long ago, and because my ex family was here, well, they're still here, so we have quite a bit of connections, and we have a lot of like where we can stay, like if we don't find anything. But I feel like coming and being brand new and not having those connections and like the networking, like networking when you're leaving is pretty hard. I feel like for me, I've been helping a lot of new students, like really young students coming for the first time. That usually my mom is like, this friend of a friend that used to work 10 years ago is moving to Vancouver. Can you help her, the daughter of the daughter? It's like, sure. I have a lot of these stories, but and I usually try my best to help them to find a good location in Vancouver. And they always is like, oh, my classmate at school are living like blah 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 in Vancouver. Is like, wow, that's far. Like if you don't know someone and where is a good place, it's really hard to find the location. But we were talking a little bit about the hardest part is missing family and having that feeling of home and making friends and connections. I would say I still struggle with this. Um, is really important, yes, and finding people that you care and people that care about you is so powerful for whatever you're doing. Can you share how you met people and how you've been building community in Canada? I will get back to you, Paula.
So, funny thing, the first friends that we actually made here were a guy that used to study with my friend's sister. So it's always like that, like you said, like she gave me his contact. She was like, I think he's in Calgary, just message him. And I did, and he ended up being super nice, way too nice, like nice to the point that like since we were Brazilians, we were like, maybe he wants to steal our stuff, like we were very uh cautious at first. But then we ended up meeting him and his wife, and they were like two sweethearts, two people that we really love here in Canada. And after that, the second thing that made us meet people, we met some people throughout them as well. Like let's go to a bar, and then our friends are there, and you kind of meet them. Sort of how you do it in Brazil, pretty much. But we've been going to a lot of meetups and a lot of tech events, a lot of essentially any encounter that we could find, we would be going to it. And that's how we started to actually establish relationships with other people. And also through, like, I went to the hairdresser, and then I told her I was a UX designer, and then she was like, oh, I know somebody that it's also married to a woman, and there's also a designer. I'm gonna give you her contact. And I'm like, okay. So we started to create this relationship as well, and meet her friends, and kind of start to building this web of people that you know. And that's been pretty much how we've been doing so far.
Deborah, I think I'm going to change a little bit the question. As you were saying, the thing one of the you miss the most is again home and all your friends and family. Now that it's been over, did I ask you how long have you been living in Canada for? Maybe I forgot to ask this. How long have you been living in Canada for?
It will be 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
In 1 week. Yeah.
Yeah.
9 months and 9 weeks. Perfect. So now that you've been 9 months and 1 week in Canada, how does that feeling of course, we are going to always miss home, but how is this community help you so far to feeling more at home in Canada?
Yeah, I think it's like you said, we'll always miss our family and friends back in our home countries. But it's so important to have this network here, someone that you can count on it, like have their support. Just like Paulo was telling you about this friend, and he was like, "Hey, do you need to go grocery shopping because it's -13 outside, and I have a car?" And it's like, it's a small thing, but this is so important for us, and that help us a lot. So it's like super important to build this, yeah, I would say community, right? Or a new family here, to have that feeling of being welcome, uh, and to know that someone will help you in case you need. It's so important to have the support. And we had to deal with this, like, okay, we are looking for places to live, and at the same time we're trying to make connections here. It was a lot, I think, the first 3 months here, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's something that you need to invest time. You need to invest time in, go out there, meet people, feel at home. uh, and I would say that currently we're very well in this aspect. We have some good friends here. Yeah.
Nice. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, that's really good. And I love that part you said you just have to go out and try. And I feel like because we come from our homes, like our home countries, we born there, we grow up there. So it was like sometimes it's not intentional that you have friends and you have good people around. But when you move to a new country and everything is new, you have to be super intentional about going out and really meeting people. And like you were saying, Paula, like I was just talking with my hairdresser about like, this is what I am, a UX designer, I'm looking for a job. And people will start thinking, oh, let me connect with this person, another person. And maybe talking about your friend that you were scared at the beginning is, I don't know if they're immigrants themselves, but I
They
feel
are.
like coming with a heart of an immigrant, whatever you tell me, I'm going to be like, it's scary too. Like in scary Colombia, it's like, are you like, you want to steal me? What do you want? What do you want from me? Yes. And I think it's like, honestly, I just want people to succeed, feel at home, feel safe, feel like they can count with someone, even if we are not family. So I love that. Something I feel like when I talk to people and maybe looking for a job, or maybe like how to network and how to do things here, is the cultural difference between, again, for me from Colombia, from you guys is Brazil. That sometimes is like, do I just go into bars and just talk to people? I mean, like that's how we do it in Colombia. But how was that experience of like the culture and the costumes? How do you learn all these things? And maybe tell me like a good story that something happened. Maybe. Oh, Paula's ready. Okay, go for it.
So I guess we struggled in the beginning. We still do a little bit on like it's funny how you sometimes have like a happy hour from the company that goes like from 6 to 8, and it's like, why do you put a time frame in a happy hour? Like that makes no sense for a Brazilian, like at all. The happy hour is like from 6 until, I don't know, until 1, until the bar closes. So there are a couple of things that like we find a bit funny. Those things that the event kind of have a beginning and an end time, and that's like respected by everybody. And also on like, sometimes we feel like we try to make that connection like we would do if a Brazilian, like, okay, we chat a lot today. It was really nice. Like, why don't we hang out afterwards, or go to another place, or maybe I can get your number and we can do something next weekend. And they're always like, yeah, it was nice to meet you, bye. Or they don't even say bye, they just leave. You had like such an interesting conversation, then people are just gone and vanished. But I guess a good story that we have, it's, well, one of the friends that we got so far, a Canadian friend. She's a good friend of ours now, and we were in this queer innovation meetup, and she was there. We start talking, and then it was like 10:30, and the restaurant had a reservation, which was something that we were like, why do you have a reservation at 10:30 at night? But okay. We had to leave the place, and then we were like, we were drinking already, and like, okay, where are we going? Like we do in Brazil, like a place is closing or you have to leave, and you're like, okay, where are you going next? Where are we going next? I mean, it's a Friday night, right? And people are like, okay, I'm going home, bye, bye. And this girl was the only girl that said, oh, I'm up for another drink. And I'm like, great, take us whatever you want to take us, let's just grab another drink. And that was kind of how we got really close with her, because afterwards she would just text us like, hey, let's go to like South Block, which is close to your place, and let's have barbecue there. I know a nice place for us to eat, very cheap, whatever. I want to take you girls there. So we start to establish this nice connection with her. But I think more because she's very similar to what a Brazilian would be in a way, like very, okay, let's go out, let's do things, let's take you uh, up to nice places, let's get and explore the town together. So, yeah, very nice.
I love it. I was going to say, I mean, I do this all the time. Event starts at 3 and finish at 8. And I get, and by 7:30, I'm already looking at people. It's like, okay, they're like trying to finishing the drink, saying their byes. Definitely that's something that it has changed, but I think mostly because we are old. I think we like to party. I think 2 weekends ago, we got married in May, so we were doing like a kind of get together for people here in Vancouver because we did our wedding in Windsor, and we have in our invitation in like 3 to 8, like we were like so specific. And then everybody was so happy. It's like, oh my goodness, thank you so much for making it so early so we can go home, relax, and then still like feel like we have a couple hours in us and then go to sleep. But I feel like because again, we are old. Okay, Deborah, you're getting older. Like the different questions. So I'm surprising you here, but something and I don't know that much Calgary, but something that here happened in Vancouver is that Vancouver has they are known because people don't get into those like best friends kind of relationships. Yeah, like a lot of people who has been living here in Vancouver for a while, they already have their circle, and there's like, yeah, we have a great time. If we're at the gym, see you next time kind of idea, but never is a continuous like, let's build a relationship. How do you feel about Calgary in this sense? Is possible to build relationships that will elongate more than a couple of events?
That's a good question.
That's tricky.
Yeah, that's tricky. I mean, we have this Canadian friend that her name is Laura, but I think it is possible because Calgary has a lot of immigrants here, so you have people from literally everywhere, right? I think that's Canada. um, and you will find people in the same situation that you are. People who are willing to connect, to create these connections, to make new friends. And that's why I think that it is important to attend to these meetup groups. Try to find a meetup. Uh, a meetup related to a hobby that you have, because it's easier for you to talk about something that you like to do with someone that likes to do the same. But yes, I would say that's it's something completely possible to do here, definitely.
Well,
However,
I will say, oh, go ahead, Paula. Go ahead.
I was just going to add to it like quickly. I think it's just like one of the things that happened as well is like we were here 3 months, right? And we were going to these meetups and we couldn't like build a very solid relationship with anybody. And you start to feel like bad because back home you have friends for that you know for like 7 years, 10 years, 15 years. And you kind of want to have that again. And I guess we just have to remind ourselves that like we need to be patient, like relationships, good relationships, they take a long time to build. They take a lot of trust, they take a lot of conversations. And I guess like at some moments Deborah and I, we kind of were so frustrated because we didn't have the same people that we had like back in Brazil that were just like, you would send them a message, they were like, yeah, of course, let's hang out, and you would have a companion. That sometimes we would just forget that like it takes time, it builds like block by block, step by step, and that's how it is.
Yeah, you need to put effort on it, like in everything that you start in your life, you need to put some effort on it. Yeah, definitely.
Love it. Yes. Yeah, it takes time. And again, I feel like if you start thinking about my friends that like real good friends that I have here in Canada, I have known them for like around 12, 13 years, but these relationships didn't turn out of like good relationships like in a week, in a month. Like it's been building time over time, and so I love that part. Okay, so I feel like people is like, why are we like how do we use all this information? It's like, for me it's really important, whoever is looking at this and is trying to land a job and like start a new career in Canada, is that there are all these factors around. It's not just like come here and boom, find a job. It would be nice if it's like this, but it takes a lot of effort because there are so many pieces around. So we're almost there. We're almost there, I promise. So many newcomers miss their home country. Yes, we have talked about this. How did you deal with those feelings while striving for success in Canada? I feel like this is such a hard one. And I think for us as immigrants, we keep a good face all the time. And I feel we try to sound like and look like we are doing great. But how you been dealing with this? I'm going to start with Deborah, just in case I change the question, Paula can answer.
So the question is how to deal with
Like being homesick and
the
still
homesick part.
thriving in Canada. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think everything is connected, right? That's why it's important for you to put some effort on making connections and go out there and talk to people and meet new people and participate in events. It can be a tech related event. You can meet people there too. And I think that's important, because if you are homesick and you are at your home thinking about how good it was back in Brazil, with all my friends there, my job there, the culture that I'm used to be part of, you start to feel depressed, especially during winter. We pass through winter here, and it's super easy for you to stay at home during winter, to not connect with anyone. Uh, so again, I think one thing that we did was to put our efforts on it, and also we kind of keep our connections there. Like we call to our friends in Brazil, we call to our family in Brazil, and they are very supportive. So it's good to have people supporting you. They are not here with you, but they're supporting you the same way. Um, I think that helped us, like to keep these connections, and it's important to know when you're not feeling uh, okay, and you have this supportive network to help you to deal with this. This is something so important. You need to reach people, right? I don't know if Paula has something to add to it, but we
Yes. Do you have something
did
else
this a
to
lot.
add? Or I have a question
Go ahead, go
around
ahead,
this.
go ahead.
Okay. Uh, I think I have a question about like what is thriving. Yes, I feel like we have a lot of, and if we think about the Latinx community and what it is being successful and what it is like thriving in a new country, we can have different distinctions, and we can have like a picture perfect. But what it is thriving, what it is being successful in Canada for you, Paula?
A lot of curveballs today, 100 years. So, I guess it will vary from person to person, but overall, I believe is you found a good place to live. You found a nice job that pays you a fair amount for you to like not be struggling at the end of the month. And you start to really figure out how the country works. I need to go to the doctor. I know how it works now. I need to whatever. I know how it works. And you start to like have those friends that you can count on and you can hang out with. So I believe that like driving more than anything is you're living in a country as if you were always born there. Like that's sort of the parameter, I guess. We're just living in Canada and we have like uh, basically everything that we would have in Brazil, maybe still a little less on the French side. Like we want to, of course, have more connections, more friends, go to more parties. But other than that, it's like we have the jobs here. We have good connections here, people that we can count on. We live in a place that we really adore, and we are already making, like we are always making plans for the next step once one step is completed. So Deborah got a job, I got a job. Our next step is, are we gonna buy a home? Are we gonna buy a car? Like we kind of know we have things figured out along as we go and we progress. So I believe, I mean, for me, that's what thriving would mean.
Love it. Yeah, sorry. I have a lot of surprising questions because you have this every storyline, so I have to like mix it up. But I love that. Yes, because I feel like if you asked me this question just a year I was in Canada, me thriving as is totally different. I was 15 years later. So that's really important for whoever is a newcomer, for whoever is like going into a new career, that thriving and successful, it looks so different, and it looks so different from each of us. At the end of the day, I feel like if you're putting your best every single day, even though your best is not your 100%, that's okay. And I think it's for each of you to be aware that you're doing your best, and if you're honest with yourself and yeah, I'm doing my best, tomorrow will be better. I feel like that's what always happened. If I look back in my my history and my journey, is like, yes, I did my best and I'm here today. So anyway,
Yes.
so now we're going to start the goodest stuff people has been waiting for. Talk about career wise. So let's talk a little bit before you moved to Canada. So Deborah, what did you used to do back home career wise?
So I hold a bachelor's degree in economics and MBA in business management, and I've always worked in consulting and teaching companies that help small business owners. So I started my career in college at junior company, which is a student formed company. And after graduation, I began working at the Brazilian Small Business Support Service. And it was exactly what I do in Canada today. But during my journey there, I started working with innovation for a small business. And I started to use these tools such as business model canvas, design sprint process, and other kind of tools there. And then I became more involved with technology and innovation, and I decided to left this company and I joined a startup called Rock Content as an agile coach. Thanks to my experience with agile innovation tools and processes. But now in Canada, I'm back to business. It's something that I love to do, and I've been doing this for my whole life.
I mean, you have to do what you have to do. That's how I always feel. And I think back into what Paula is doing, even though you love this, um, thriving again, maybe at this point is finding a job that gives you security, that gives you like, I can come home and relax and pay my bills and go for vacations and go partying. Like Paula likes a lot of parties. So I feel like that's so important. And at one point, I will ask this later, but getting that Canadian experience will help you a lot. I think that's what a lot of the companies and organizations want in Canada. How much experience do you have in the field, Deborah? Like if you say like in your fancy role today?
over 10 years.
Okay, perfect. Well, Paula, what about you? What did you used to do back home?
Yeah, so same thing. Did a career transition as well. I was in logistics. Moved to UX, and I was basically a UX designer and researcher strategist for 2 years and a half, pretty much. When I got my new job, I've been working at the city for the past 3 weeks now, so not that long. Yeah.
Nice. And oh yeah, you said that you have 2 years of experience as a UX
Yeah.
designer, correct?
Yeah.
What did you? What about in logistics? How long did you were in logistics for?
About 3 years, 4 years.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
perfect. So I'm talking about all of this, and I know that you have shared already what you do in Canada, because it's important for us to think about the skills that we used to have before and how they're transferred here in Canada, and how relevant is the Canadian experience for us or for
Yeah.
you to land the job. But Paula, so you were just saying that you've been working in your new role for 2 weeks. I'm so excited.
Thank
Congrats
you.
again. How did you ended up finding this first role? And this is your first job in Canada, correct? Like,
Yes, it is. It is. It is.
perfect. So how long did it take to find you a job, and what advice would you give to others that they're in the same journey as you?
Uh, it seemed like it took forever, honestly. It took about 6 months. Funny enough, it took me longer to find a job here, to get a job here than it took me to do my career transition back in Brazil. Uh, but I guess it's like there are a couple of things. I guess first you gotta understand the market. I do feel like the market here it's very different from the one in Brazil, which is expected. But I do feel that like in terms of especially UX, the understanding that Canada has of what UX is, what UX research is, what a UX designer or product designer is a bit different from in Brazil. So I guess like I was presenting myself as something, even though I was doing a broader aspect of it. And in Brazil, that would have been understood. But here, it was something like people would get like, okay, since you're presenting like that, you only do this part of the job. You don't do anything else. And that wasn't true. So I guess you have to kind of understand how the market sees your position here because it can be different and kind of adapt to it, like adapt your CV, adapt your LinkedIn to make sure it reflects exactly what Canadians understand that your profession is. Second thing, super important, is connections. So having like good connections, people that can because like a lot of jobs, not the case of the one from the city, but a lot of jobs, they're very they kind of are offered to people. They're like referral here in Canada, I guess, is like 99%, like for the stories that I've heard. So it's very important for you to know people. It's very important for people to know that you're looking for a job, for people to know what you do, and that's like something that you kind of really have to show to everybody. And third, last but not least, and I think it's like an advice that it kind of may help me to help together, is be patient and be kind to yourself. And funny enough, I heard this from a Brazilian friend and from a Canadian mentor, and they don't know each other. They are not related, but they said the exactly same thing. And I guess that's like one of the most important things is like really, you have to be patient. I mean, it takes time to get a job here. We don't have the Canadian experience, even though some people say it's not a thing. We all know it's a thing. And you really have to be kind to yourself. Like we come here expecting to we know that we're not going to have kind of the same life than in Brazil in the beginning, and like with the same salary and the same position and kind of the same status. But we have knowledge. We know that we have knowledge, and we kind of have to hold on to that. And even though we're receiving a lot of refusals, we have to kind of keep going. And every day, just remind ourselves that like we need to be kind to ourselves. We do not need to be the ones putting us down as well, because we have way less support than if we were back in our home countries.
Yeah, and I feel like that part of like here, no one knows you. Yeah, no one knows what is your quality of work or what you've been doing before. Like if you tell them, "Oh, I used to work in this company in Brazil," it's like, well, what is that? Is that even like a thing? So I feel like it's for us to remember too that people here is getting to know us too and getting to see what we can do. And I will say for everybody is Paula is being so active in the community. Like I see all the time posts in LinkedIn. This is what I did. This is what I went. This is I met. It's like you've been really active. Do you think that has how being this active in the community have helped you for the job that you landed?
So because of being so active, I met the girl that was leaving the position that I'm in right now, and she was actually the one that like almost the job was posted. She was the first one to let me know. Like she was like, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm leaving the city. Probably my position will be open. Keep an eye on it." And I would like go into the website every day to the career page to check it out. But as soon as it was out, she was like, "Hey, Paul, it's out." So like she was the one that really she was like a person that I met a couple times in person. We talked a little bit, but we worked together at Inclusivity, which is the usability testing organization here that handles accessible usability testing pretty much. And because of that, she kind of knew how I worked. She kind of understood that like what I did was similar to what people did at the city. So she gave me some tips on like my resume and keywords and some things like that. And I mean, it was very helpful. Definitely was very helpful. And for sure, and I only met this person because I was a volunteer and I was very active with the Kauri UX. So those are two things. Those are things that I think it's very helpful for every immigrant. You know, especially in tech. You will know someone that knows someone and that has like a position available. So you kind of have to grow your network. You have to go to events. You have to really be active to grab those opportunities when they appear. But this specifically person, I knew that she was working for the city, and before there was even a position open, since I knew that the city was a company that I wanted to work for, I had already talked to her about it. I had already sent her a message like, "Hey, how is it to work there? Like, what's the work style? How is the people there?" So I kind of already knew that I wanted to work for the city, and after talking to her, I was like, "Okay, I really want to work for the city." So it's a little bit of that as well, you know, like you kind of have those inside um kind of feedback from a person that is working there, and you have this open door just because you met this person in one day or another.
I don't know if people who is listening don't think that this is such a powerful thing. Because again, is you were ahead of like the future. Yes, like you know what you wanted, you went and asked, and it's like, I really want this job. And then how everything is start connecting together for you to land in the job. And I think is and again, I talk a lot about intentionality is because this is what it gets you. Yes, like again, yes, it took a while, and it will take a while for people who is not just immigrating or newcomers into Canada, yes, but someone who is switching careers and someone who is new for us in tech. It's going to take a while, but if you're intentional about what you do, how you're connecting with people, and really knowing what you want, I think for this is really important. Is not because we are new to Canada, not because we are new to tech, we're just going to like whatever job comes to us. Yes, again, it's a privilege. I feel like it's a big privilege that you got the chance to wait for a while, that you
Yeah,
have a
for
partner
sure.
and said, okay, you go and work and make the money. And I feel like I was lucky enough for me to take pretty much 6 to 9 months to really land that first job and landed something that I wanted. Um, but we have that checklist that we know what we want and we can go and ask the right questions. I feel like this is how I ended up. Like I feel like in a happy ending, even if it take a while. And I feel like Sophie kind of that questions. Like how do you stay motivated? And I feel like is I'm going to go here is for you, what is under your control? What can you do? And for example, for Paula is going to events, participating, showing her job, volunteering. Then the other person that was leaving, so what you could do. And he's, oh, she can do it. I think she will be a great addition for the job. And he's like, the thing is start connecting. So Sophie, what can you control? You go for it. If you apply for jobs and no one is calling you, you don't have power over that. That is outside of your control. But I think, again, more rejections that you get, closer that you get to the job that you need and the job that you want. So it's coming, Sophie. Don't worry. Deborah, what about you? I feel like I'm running out of time and I still have a lot of questions. But how did you end up landing your first role in Canada?
Okay. I applied for a lot of, hey, Sophie, I applied for I don't know how many jobs here in Canada. Some I didn't even receive a negative email. So I think that's part of the process, right? And well, when I landed here, I was very insecure about my English. English is not my first language. Sometimes I still blank in English and Portuguese at the same time, and that makes me feel very frustrated. But I got some job interviews using LinkedIn and Indeed. I think that these two platforms are the most famous platforms here to find jobs. And it was good for me to get interviews because I could improve my English every interview that I was taking. But my first job, I decided to attend a career fair for no reason. I just told Paula, hey, Calgary is promoting this career fair. I think I'm going there. I don't know, check what companies are there, if there's something for us. And the company that I'm currently working for it, Momentum, they had a stand there. And I was talking to this nice girl there called Chelsea, and they say, "Hey, are you hiring? Because you have this program, the business program, which is exactly what I used to do back in Brazil, like perfect match." And she said, "We are not hiring here in the fair, but you can access our website, and we have a job position open there." And I was like, "Okay, I will apply." And she said, "Hey, just put my name there. Tell Brian, he's my manager. Tell Brian that you talked to Chelsea in the career fair, and we had this nice conversation there. Send your resume and make sure to put all the requirements for this job position there." And then I got the interview, and it was like a perfect match. Like it's something rare to happen, but if you don't go and start to look for this, the things will not knock on your door. So I decided to go to a career fair, and it was like a perfect match for me. This job position was a perfect match, and here I am working in this amazing company. And yeah, Sophie, don't give up. Keep going.
How long did it take you to this whole process, the whole story?
Since we arrived in Canada till I get the job,
Yes,
uh,
yes, yeah. Like when was the job fair?
it was on March, I think, Paula.
You start to
February.
work on March, no?
Yeah, February. Yeah, it
I think
was
it's February.
February. So 3 to 4 months since we arrived. Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like that's important too. Yes, and um, it's not that you landed next day you went to the job fair and you landed the job. Yes, I feel like during the whole time you got the chance to go and talk to people, network, like really, like you were saying, you didn't feel confident with your English. So it's like, what do you do? What Let's give it a practice and go and talk to people. No one, I mean, maybe some people is born like with this amazing storytelling and telling about yourself and everything. But I think most of us, we just practice a lot. I'm still not the best at podcasting, at talking to people, but I practice a lot. Like I come here every single week and I just have guest speakers and I go on networking with people and send cold messages about like them being part of the podcast. I feel for me, that's been a great platform to create this. But is again the question that I always ask people: what else are you doing? Are you, like you were saying, Deborah, if you stay at home, just I want this job, is never going to show up at your door. You need to go and try things. And maybe, I don't know if you have tried this before back in Brazil, like go on a job fair and ask people, hey, are you hiring me? This is a perfect job. But you have to try different things to get different results.
Yeah,
Love
for
it.
sure.
Deborah knows. Sophie is inspired with the stories of the two of you. She's like magical and amazing. I think so. Okay, let's see how much time do we have. We have a couple of minutes. So, what was Deborah? What was surprising for you in the job search?
Um, well, I'm getting all the tricky questions today. Uh, I don't know. I think well, we received some support from this Center for Newcomers. I don't remember the name. Paula maybe will recall it. Um, and you have a template for resume. It's like a specific one. It's like, hey, you need to use this template if you want to get a job here in Canada. And in Brazil, you can use any kind of template that you want. But we received this information from this nice lady that helped us, and that was very surprising for me. Like, you need to use the right tools, right, to get the job here.
Yeah.
But one thing that was really nice, managers have this way to invite you to have a coffee at the company and show you the company before they hire you. And that was so amazing. I mean, we don't have this kind of welcoming in Brazil, like they want to talk to you too. They want to know you as a person, that was so amazing. That was very surprising in this process of getting a job here.
Love it. And again, there is so many resources free. I feel for me, again, this is not a question for me, but there's a lot of free resources in Canada, like for new immigrants and like how to write a resume, how to write a cover letter, how to call and get a job. Like there's so many resources. I'm going to change the question for you, Paula. I was mostly because I want to know about your job. But if you can get 3 tips to people trying to find their first UX role, and then if you can tell us a little bit about what is exactly your role about.
So today, well, essentially, UX architect is also a fancy name for sort of a UX designer. So doing things on UX research, usability testing, interviews. I mean, 3 weeks on the job. Not sure everything that I'll be doing, but for sure, working with some prototypes and wireframes down the line, and everything that has to do with UX. Pretty much, very diverse opportunities there, I guess, for different projects with different business units within the city. But I guess for people to land their first job, 3 things that I will say is first of all, connections. I mean, I know that we stressed how important they are, but I guess it's never too much to stress that like you have to build connections, you have to go out there, you have to go to events. I cannot count how many events I went to this year that I didn't feel like going, and I kind of just like drag myself to go because I was like socially exhausted. The social exhaustion had got the best of me. But I was like, okay, I have to go. I have to meet people. I have to network. I have to like know what's going on. So meet people. see if there's any communities or volunteer opportunities. Like here in Calgary, we have Calgary Wax from Luis, which is an amazing guy. We have Inclusivity. So we have some options here for people to actually get their hands on actual projects and help the community and kind of show people who they are and how good they are. And the third thing, I guess, is like being really active on social media and putting your face there, posting your cases, show people what you're working on what you're learning, take courses. I know that it's like in our society is not the ideal thing that you have to be kind of a influencer in a way to land a job, but I guess it's more in a way that people will know what you're doing, and then at some point they may see something that you did and be like, okay, I need somebody that knows how to do that. And that was exactly how I landed my first job. I was like, my former employee, she saw me on LinkedIn because of something that I posted, and she saw that I was in logistics as well. So she needed someone for a logistics project, and that's why she invited me for an interview. And I didn't know that I didn't know the company, I didn't knew her, but it was just this perfect. It was not only a perfect match, but she found me through someone else that liked something that I posted. So just keep in mind that like LinkedIn is a very strong, powerful tool. It can be a bit of Disneyland sometimes with all shiny and pretty and like everybody's really good at everything. But at the end of the day, it's also a great tool to connect you with people. So
love it. And I will say in that part about LinkedIn, this is how I ended up landing the job that I have right now. I knew that I didn't want to be on immigration anymore, that I needed a change. And I've been following, I have known my design director now for 3 years. So I have her on LinkedIn, and she commented in someone else's post saying, hey, I have a new role. I have an open role. And I'm like, I just message her and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I'm back on the market. A week later, I landed the job. So I feel like it's like how I feel like it sounds surprising and it sounds like I didn't do much, but it's been a lot of work to be exactly in the perfect time. And anyway, we're not talking about this, but I feel like it's like how do you stay connected, how you keep social, and how you keep sharing what you do. And I feel like that's such a powerful thing. But this is it. I have so many questions, but we don't have time because it was just so good. But let's see, to finish up, what is next? What is next for the both of you? Yes. Paula, yes.
So, well, now it's in life or in career wise, just
in life, in career, yes.
Well, in terms of career, just show what I came for. I mean, I know my potential, even though I doubted for some time. But I know my potential, and I know that I can do great things with the city and with the team there. So I guess it's just showing great work. And other than that, maybe buying a house. Hopefully, if we find something that we like in the next few months, and having a car for the winter. Otherwise, Deborah will kill me. But yeah.
That's a good one. A car for the winter, yes. I've been in Calgary a couple of times, and that's one of the biggest difference compared to Vancouver, even though I do live like in the city and like outside of downtown in Vancouver, that you really don't need a car, but in Calgary, you need a car. Deborah, what about you? What is the future predicted for you?
When it comes to life and family, is whatever Paula said, because I need to follow her, right?
I mean, you're in Canada because of her, so it makes sense. Yes.
But yes, when it comes to my professional career, I think that is to keep thriving, right? And we discuss about this. What is thrive? I think is to continue face the challenges that I have here, to face language related challenges, culture, social integration. We talk about this, right? So is to keep growing as a professional here. So I'm taking courses, I'm attending to events, meeting people, making things happen. There are a lot of opportunities here in Canada, and I want to be part of every opportunity that I can um, face here. That's my future,
Love
definitely.
it. And Paula, you forgot to talk about your parties that you love. It's like,
Well, Brazilian parties, but we don't
yes,
have those in Calgary, unfortunately. But maybe if Canada decides to extend the curfew, uh,
that's true.
we can start talking.
Well, I hope that in the future Vancouver is on the list because we would love to have you here. We'll love to take you around. But I don't know if you two know about this. I know Paula, you know about this. I have organization that is called Cherry on Tech, and we have a big event tomorrow. So for whoever is looking to have hands-on experience in a cross-functional team, that means product manager, designers, and developer, and working an end-to-end project. We are going to be talking about this tomorrow. So to go to my LinkedIn, I have all the information there. We are starting a new cohort coming up in September. And for the both of you, just throwing out there, we're looking for mentors. We're looking for mentors for like PMs, developers, and designers. So all the information will be there. We love this community. It's been really powerful for people to land their first job. And by the way, this is not cost. We do this because we love people and we want to empower the underrepresented genders and communities to get into tech and have great people around them. So anyway, thank you so much for this. This was so good. And yes, Deborah, there will be a second part. You said it at the beginning. Everybody, everybody have a great day. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you
Have a
so
good one.
much, Juliet. Thank you so much.